Good morning. This is Reginald Andre with the Miami Business Leaders. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. It actually has been about the month since the last time we have done a live. So thank you guys so patiently waiting for us to come back and do a live, but we are back and better. So the Miami Business Leaders was created as a safe place for entrepreneurs to share their strategies, insights, questions, get things answered, and most importantly, support each other. So we are a private Facebook group. So you may be watching this on our YouTube channel, or maybe this is being reshared in another place, but please join the Miami Business Leaders Group. All you have to do is go to Facebook, type in Miami Business Leaders Group, answer a couple of questions, and hit the submit button. And once we review you, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business leader, if you are a community supporter, then we will definitely let you in and we can continue this conversation. So today's topic, we have CPA Janelle Montgomery, and we're talking about money mistakes small businesses make. And we know that we are already on February the 4th. And, they say a lot of times, you have New Year's resolutions and all these things that you want to do for your business. But statistics says that 36% of small businesses cited cash flow management as a challenge. And without cash flow, you can't really do too much in your small business. So that's why we have Janelle Montgomery here. She's going to be answering a lot of questions. So please, before we start, please go ahead and let us know where you're watching. Although it is the Miami Business Leaders, we know Janelle personally. She's located in Oklahoma, and we have a lot of people watching other places. So please go ahead and put where you're watching from, and welcome, Janelle.
Hi. Hey, everyone. Especially Miami Business Leaders. Just welcome. It is just an honor just to be on here and really just share some tips that will help you in your company and just take your company to the next level financially. So I'm excited to be on here.
How you doing, Janelle? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year and Happy Lunar New Year as well too. So it's great.
Yeah, so just so to give you guys a little behind the curtain, Janelle's someone who's always supported me in the Miami Business Leaders. We've had, this is probably going to be our 4th or 5th time doing this. And sometimes, you want to do something, especially as a business owner. You want to get something done. You want to start the Monday fresh. You want to start the new year fresh. And then business happens, life happens, customers call you, fires happen, head trash. Oh, can I really do this? You start to doubt yourself. And I text messaged Janelle about 4 days ago, and I was like, Janelle, we're not going to advertise it. We're just going to do it. Can you just please do a live with me? It's already February the 4th. I'm sure our audience wants to hear from us. And I says, what topics are you hearing a lot right now from your clients? And when she says money mistakes, I was like, let's do it. Money mistakes small businesses are making. So thank you again so much, Janelle, for joining us today.
Yes, no problem.
Awesome. So I know you got your disclaimer as a CPA that you want to let everybody know. We'll get to it.
Yep. So for me, I just wanted to let everyone know that, yes, I am a CPA. However, the advice in the content that I may say may not apply to your particular situation. And so I just wanted to say that before you implement anything, that you contact your CPA just to make sure that solution will fit your particular situation. And so I just wanted to put that disclaimer out that this is mainly for entertainment and education purposes and not for actually prescribing and writing prescriptions for your particular business.
Absolutely. Although she's a CPA, she's not your CPA.
Exactly.
All right. So one of another statistic I was looking up, and it said 43% of small business owners mentioned that growing revenue is tough. And inefficient cash is one of the leading causes of business failure. So let's start, Janelle. What are some of the money mistakes that entrepreneurs and small business leaders make?
That is so great that you really took the answers from me. That is so awesome. Some of the money mistakes that I've seen with small businesses is really just having not recognizing how high and just diving right in, right? Not how high their overhead could be, that can really be eating cash from their business. A lot of times when and I love being sold to, right? But a lot of
Mhm.
times we have things and it may have worked for one season in our business, but sometimes we carry those expenses to another season in our business because um, it's either an automatic payment and we don't understand how high our overhead is. So when we're looking at our profits, we have revenues, expenses, and then we're looking at the bottom line. We're seeing that we're not seeing the numbers that we actually want to see. And so that's one of the main mistakes is not really being able to keep track of the overhead and expenses so that we can minimize those to maximize our profits. The second mistake that I've seen is cash flow. This is probably one of the major ones because cash flow is one of the things that you have money coming in, right? And you may not have it come in all at the same time in the same month. So if you're a small business owner, you know this to be true. The business has to run throughout the whole month. So that means that money comes in at different points in times. And what happens is that especially if you have a business based on invoicing and receivables, what happens is that there's bills that come in or bills that need to be paid. And what happens is that that there needs to be more careful tracking of when we can negotiate, when we can actually pay the bills, um, based on the cash inflow that's coming in. And so it's really important to try to attempt to control the inflow of the cash and the outflow of the cash, because cash flow is the lifeblood of any business. So when the cash stops, guess what? The business stops, right? It's almost like blood flow. So that's the second mistake. It's just making sure that you are managing your cash flow and making sure that things are just good and making sure that and here's the thing, a lot of people think that their business is doing bad because maybe they've seen maybe they've gone negative, but the thing is that a couple tweaks to when you're paying your bills or is can make a big difference, can make a huge difference. So cash flow. One of the second mistakes that I've seen is just not really having a plan, a plan for their finances. See, a lot of times forecasting and all of that plays a big part in how much you make, right? Because what I've seen is that people will make the same amount of money or make the same mistakes because there's no plan for them to change. Like they
Mhm.
have the intent to change, but an actual written down plan to change that, okay, well, what can I do to double my income? What can I do to triple my income? Well, does that mean that I'm going to have to increase my prices? Does that mean that I'm going to have to lower expenses, right? But the main thing to really have a really good plan is to plan for the revenue that you want, plan for the increase that you want. Once you have a good plan, a good written plan, then guess what? It like a lot of the times you'll see that you'll be able to follow through with that plan.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the other one first with the cash flow. So
Mhm.
like just to give you an example of what we do in our business is that we know that normally most of our clients pay us around the 5th of the month, but then a lot of our vendors, they want to get paid on the 1st of the month. So what we end up doing is working out a deal, and we actually spread it across with a lot of our vendors. So we like for example, our rent at our office, they wanted the money on the 1st because they said after the second or the third, it's late and they're going to tag on a late fee. Okay, fine. So they got their money on the 1st. But then we had some other services where we called up and they were a little more reasonable, and we said, "Can you move us to the 15th? Because we know then by then we'll have another influx of cash coming in, and then from there they can get paid. And then we know our payroll is usually the 15th and the 30th of the month. So it's like kind of like just juggling all of these things, so that way, like you said, you're planning, and then that way you're not caught off guard and having to like do any type of overdrafts or having to borrow Peter to pay Paul or not pay yourself because you just don't have enough cash.
Wow. Oh, that was something that she hit right there. Where that that in itself is what one thing that I've seen is that some business owners aren't able to pay themselves properly,
Mm-hmm.
and it can affect the way of how much they pay in taxes. But it's very important that number one, you're structured, you're structured properly. But then two, you want to make sure that you know you're able to be paid properly for the role that you play. Like that, I mean, not the role that you play, the role that you are. So if you're a CEO, you got to have CEO pay. So that is definitely one of the things that you want to make sure to have in place, that you like it's important for you to be intentional with your money. So giving every dollar an assignment is what I say on the personal end, but it also applies to the business end. Giving every dollar an assignment. And once you give every dollar an assignment, everything that comes inside or comes into the business, then you are able to give an assignment. So if the assignment is to make sure that you allot for profit, that you allot for these certain expenses, and that you allot for your own salary. Those are the things that are important. And then also taxes. Like I haven't even touched taxes, but you want to make sure to allot some amount for taxes. So that goes into my other.
Oh, hold on. You got some good message there. I want to talk about, paying yourself first in business.
Yes.
I don't know if you know about the book, Mike Murkowski, I believe his last name is pronounced.
Yes. Profit first.
Profit first.
Mm-hmm.
All the business owners out there, pay yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And tell them why. Like, do you recall the mind that it's about a mindset about why I'm not saying now there's two sides to that. Now that doesn't mean you pay yourself first, go on your yacht, and then all your employees are trying to figure out what happened to their check. But give the mindset reason behind that.
Ooh, the mindset and reasoning behind that is one of the things that Mike points out is you wouldn't go work for a company and say, hey, you're going to work really, really hard and not see anything for 2 or 3 years, right? Especially in 2022, I think that once you intentionally pay yourself, and that's one of the keys to wealth as well too, is that you want to train a company. See, this is something that I saw, is that there was a particular organization that did not pay the founder. I mean, they just chose not to be paid. Mm-hmm. And so when it was time to transfer to another person, well, they didn't have money in the budget to actually pay the person. So in that case, in succession planning, that can be a bad thing. So right. The reason why it's important to pay yourself first is that you have to basically set a standard within your company about what it needs to do, because your business, now this is important, you aren't just meant to just serve hard, like work hard for your business. Your business is supposed to be working for you. Your business is supposed to be serving you. There's a point in time where you come to where your business has to be at, to where your business is serving you, not in a way of like what Andre was saying, hey, you're on a yacht and none of your employees have gotten paid, but you want to make sure that you are taking care of you, because you are setting a precedence. You are the leader. You're setting a precedence for the rest of the company. It can have an effect on your mental, your emotional. It can have an effect on all of that if you are being the martyr in your business. So that's why it's important to say, you have to put yourself first, because you're the leader. You're the top of that organization. And if you don't, again, you're going to have the effects of being tired, being stressed out, being worn out. And guess where that trickles down to? That trickles down to the rest of the organization. So it is not healthy for you to do that. So if you are in business, even if you have to pay yourself a fair amount of the money that is coming in. And so if that means for you to cut back on some of your expenses, then that means that you'll have to cut back on some of your expenses. So it's definitely important for you.
Yeah, and thank you, Ebony, so much for commenting and listening. She says, "Take care of yourself first. Pay yourself so good." So, and it's kind of like, think about it. You think about working somewhere for 2 weeks and you giving your all, 40, 50, 60 hours. And then after that, 2 weeks later, you're when it's that Friday and then it's nothing in your bank. It sucks. And I'm not sitting here in the chair to say I haven't been in those situations, because even last year I was in those situations where I had to make sure my people were paid first. I'm the captain of the ship, and I got to make sure. But the whole goal of this is to learn and to improve. So definitely, as I was just saying, it sucks. I've been in those situations where everybody's getting paid, and at the end of the day, there's only a few $100s left or a few $1,000s left, and I'm like, man, this really sucks. So, and that just goes to the definition of insanity, and you don't want to keep on doing the same thing over and over. So, by planning and seeing how to manage the cash flow, hopefully you're not in that situation anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's go to so we talked a little about how entrepreneurs can avoid these type of mistakes, but is there any other nuggets you want to give them on how entrepreneurs can basically not make these type of money mistakes?
I think for the most part, just to refer back to the profit first method, one of the things that is definitely important is that if you're having a hard time managing when bills are paid and different things like that, really consider what Andre was saying. Like, try to renegotiate for a certain date for those expenses to come out on. I know in Profit First, they refer to pay your bills on the 5th and the 20th, right? But we know now, 2022, most of the things are very automated. Most of the things are, they just automatically come out, so you don't have to think about it. And it's smart for them. And so I would even propose that, that can be a basically something that you can apply within your business as well too. But just making sure that that you consider when your bills are actually coming out. If you have to put together a worksheet or a spreadsheet, because a profit and loss statement just says, hey, these are your expenses, these are your revenues. But if you have something to where you're able to gather all your bills and list them by due date order, you'll be able to see, okay, what is actually coming out? How much do I need to have in there, so that I can make sure to allocate it to the proper spots as well too. But making sure that every dollar, every revenue that comes into your business is accounted for in some way to make sure that it pays for the expenses it needs to, the taxes, and yourself. So those are the big things.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself. If you have this spreadsheet and you take your normal average income for the business, and then you list all of your expenses that you have, your cost of goods, etc. And at the end of the day, if that number is a negative number, you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and you got to say, all right, do I have to cut my salary so that way at the end of the day we're even on the business? Do I have to go back to my vendors and renegotiate my prices? Or do I have to like cut back on my rent? Whatever it is, but you should never be operating your business unless you're, a Silicon Valley where you have no income, and you just have a proof of concept, and someone's just throwing the money and just saying, go at it. But if you're not one of those companies, then you have to be, realistic and say, you know what, I got to call my vendors, I got to renegotiate, and we got to, still make it fair so everybody can eat, and they want to work for you and work with you. But at the same time, if your business is in a situation where you're losing money, you have to cut and stop the bleed, or else you're going to go out of business.
Oh, and let me add on to that. This is a pretty good, man. This is a pretty good topic, because honestly, I mean, I can just look at the wave of so many businesses, because we got our PPP loans, right? Oh man, I saw so many businesses that were able to do some things, right? They were able to spend money. But what I've seen is that, now, there's not another PPP loan, so if you've already got your 2 PPP loans, you're good. like there's like no other PPP loans that are coming out. And so I think that now what we're doing is now I am seeing where companies are having to restructure some things financially. But the thing that I wanted to point out with what Andre was saying was it's something called ROI, right? Whenever you're going through your expenses, whenever you're going through all of your costs in your business, don't just look at the cost, but look at the ROI. That means return on investment. So something may be more money, but if it's producing more revenue in your business, then you have to look at that as well too. So I think one of the things that I can think about right now is maybe marketing costs, right? Depending on what type of marketing costs there is, because there's so many marketing costs. But if you see that an expense that you're actually utilizing is not bringing back a return or helping you, now there's some expenses that you have to spend regardless, right? Like if you need rent, hey, those are some of the things, utilities, those are some of the necessary things. But there's some things that you can look at and say, okay, well, do I need that subscription? Do I need this particular thing? What is the ROI that I'm actually getting? Am I getting a return? And the return can be, okay, this is helping me become more efficient. This is helping me save time. This is helping me, and it breaks it down into 3 categories. It's helping me make more money, right? Or saving me money, or it's saving on time, or it's building morale in my team. So those are some of the things that you want to look at as far as, is this a return? Is this going to be a return on my cost and my investment? Some people go into coaching programs or education programs and different things like that so that they can get an ROI, because sometimes their companies and their businesses can double and triple based on some of the masterminds and coachings that they invest in. So
yeah, and I think that's important too, because even you got to look at, especially like, for example, marketing and advertising is one of those things where they say you got to do it. Your business has to do it. You have to do about 5% of your revenue on that. But for us, for example, we were spending about $1,500 a month on search engine optimization. And after a year and a half, I mean, I literally only got 2 or 3 calls. And it's one of those things where you gotta stop that. You gotta stop the status quo. Doesn't mean that you stop marketing altogether. But what we basically did was we told the company we were using, hey, we're gonna have to look for somebody else. So we didn't continue that because of that ROI. So when you go through that spreadsheet and you're looking at all of the different expenses, and also a lot of times businesses will have different segments of their business. So for example, we do IT and we do cybersecurity, but we also had another component to it where we would do what is called break fix. So we would help businesses, but businesses that were not on a particular contract. But when we did the financials for it, we realized that segment of our business was not as profitable as our other business. So what did we do? We end up just, starting to cut that off. So same thing, if you're in the beauty salon and maybe, you're doing hair and that's good margins, but then you try to sell products. So you're trying to sell merchandise and all it's doing is taking up your time. It's, because you have to like keep it up and things like that. Cut it off from your business. So whatever that applies to. Have you seen that, Janelle, in some of your clients where they have all of these different buckets of supposedly income, but then they're spending so much time on one, but then had they just spend more time on the one that's actually making them the real money, then they would have been able to grow faster.
that is so good. And the reason why is, yes, I have seen it, and I think like, oh man, like, oh, y'all are getting definitely some nuggets today. Like what Andre is saying, like if you, as a small business owner, you want to make sure to write down your streams of income for this past year. So 2021 just happened, or this past month. See what the revenues are for each of those products and services that you're offering. And you want to go through and actually see, okay, is this worth it? okay, yes, I made most of my money in this area. But was it worth it? Did it take more time? Was I more stressed out? So you have to look at it a holistic point of view. And the thing is I'm not going to tell you to say, okay, only like look at the money, but you also got to look at your time, right? There's some things that you want to invest in, like if you need to invest into a employee so that you can make sure to get your time back, and the whole purpose of just to even go back through um, what a difference between having a job, right? I mean, you have the money but you don't have the time, and then when you become a solopreneur, right? Sometimes you have the money but you still don't have the time, right? Or sometimes you don't have both. But then when you become a business owner like Andre here, there come to a point in his business where he said, okay, yes, the money is good, but in order for me to leverage and scale and get to the next level, I have to invest into the services. I have to invest into the people that are going to help me bring in more income. So yes, I have seen that where people, the status quo says you have to have multiple streams of income, multiple streams, but you really have to look at what is the stream that is bringing you the most income. And not only that, is it time efficient? Is it very efficient for you? Is it even, for lack of a better term, convenient for you to actually go through and uh, make those sales? Because yeah, you're right. Someone in the beauty shop, they're trying to sell products, they're trying to do this, and then they get calls, and it's eating at their time of actually doing the thing that they love to do, providing the service for their clients. So yes, that is gold. Yeah, that's golden.
Yeah, and also too, there was a time in our business where we talk about the multiple streams of income, and you hear that a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
usually, the people that you hear that from are the people that have already made it, and
Yep.
they're in a position where they now have a COO or CEO. They're the owner, but they have someone running the company, and now they can start with another one. But if your revenues are less than $500,000 in your business, for example, right,
Mm-hmm.
and now here you are trying to start another business, you may want to try to get that business to about 1 million, 2 million, get that and fine tune it, then have someone. But if you're struggling with your business now and you're like, oh, multiple streams of income, let me jump here. You're going to stretch yourself thin and not give 100% on that one business that can take you to that 2 million, 3 million mark, which will then allow you to have multiple streams of income.
Mm. So, yes, I'm going to touch on that. Yes. Hey, what's going on, Tanya? Yes, I am going to touch on that. But before I do, the multiple streams of income, um, like I think what Andre say, definitely listen to Andre. He's yeah. he doesn't just talk about it. He is about it. So just on a for real tip. But like that is so true. One thing that I've seen is, people who do multiple things, right? And I understand there's some people running a whole bunch of side hustles, doing this, doing that, doing that. But when I've seen some like exponential growth within a company, they had to let something go. Like they
Yeah.
had to let something go, and they had to focus on one stream and monetize and actually scale that stream, meaning that they learn how to maximize that stream so that they can really just make it to that $1 million mark. That's what I've seen. It's just, I know a lot of people say, hey, you got to have a whole bunch of things going. But if you focus on one stream, and that one stream can actually, or niche, or whatever you want to call it, of what you provide, your secret sauce will be able to take you to that $1 million mark. And so I don't know if Andre, if you wanted to touch on that, but I definitely wanted to touch on Tanya's question for sure.
Yes. So before I go there, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We have Janelle Montgomery, a CPA. You are watching live with the Miami Business Leader. So if you have any questions, we have probably another 15, 20 minutes. So please put them on the comments below. And we have one from Tanya. And she says, let me put it here. Can you touch on the tax policies on $600 or more from Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App? there seems to be some false information going around. So essentially, there's people that are, and I'll let you explain it better than me, but basically, if you're getting payments from Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, I think it was maybe November, there was some rumors going around about some Biden administration tax policies and things like that. So Janelle, if you could talk about, did that ever get finalized, or what's happening with that?
Yeah, this was very, very interesting because I have never thought like people freaking out the way they were freaking out. So people are like, I'm gonna completely stop using them. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're in business. Like, what do you mean you're gonna stop using this? So, ooh, yeah. So this is okay. This is where all this is at. So let me start off with, I see Zealous first. And I'll just go ahead and just say for Zelle. I actually, if you guys go to Coach Janelle CPA on my Facebook, I actually have a website from Zelle, not from any other type of source, that says we are not applying this $600 rule and 1099 rule. We're not applying that. Like, because really they're just a money transfer company. Is not necessarily to pay for goods and services. However, but first of all, I'll address that first. So I'll address that part first. So for Zelle, they're saying that they're not going to be issuing out any type of 1099s. And I've heard so many rumors that said, oh no, they're going to be in our bank accounts, all of this. So no, let me go ahead and give a little bit of history for that. Is that in the past, or even right now, if you were to work as a contractor for a company, let's say if you did Lyft or Uber, or if you did work for a company that paid you as a contractor, if you were paid more than $600, they were required to issue you a 1099. Okay, so that's where that comes from. I think that's where that's what would happen. Okay, so now I'm going to the credit card agencies, the Cash Apps, the PayPal, the Venmo. Okay, let's talk about those three. Cash App and PayPal are very, they're the ones that a lot of people do a lot of money transfers on. If you set yourself up as a business, you put your social or your EIN in, then what is going to happen is in the past, if people paid you, and if it was either more than $20,000 for the whole year or more than 200 transactions, then they would be required to issue you a 1099-K. Now they lowered the threshold from $20,000 to $600. So that means, and this is not just transferring money from friends and family, if you are set up as a business and people are paying you via Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and it's more than $600, then yes, they will report that number to the IRS, because again, the 1099, they just want to make sure that they have more money, because the threshold was so high at $20,000. They just lowered that threshold. So if you are in business, then that shouldn't affect you in how you use any of these payment methods.
Right. Thank you so much. And Tanya, let us know if that clarified things. But let's touch on this topic, because like, I know a lot of people, you can have housekeepers, people cutting your grass and things like that. And there's sometimes people that does a side hustle, but that's not really our audience right now. Mm-hmm. If you have a business and it's a legit business, this is not just, again, you just you went out to pizza with your friends and you just Venmo somebody money to split the cost or whatever. We're talking about you having a business. I personally don't see why you're not wanting to. I see why you're not wanting to report the income, but long term, I think right when you don't want to do that, you're thinking so short term. You're thinking, yep. Oh, I'm not going to pay the taxes, because long term, documenting your revenue. Having all of this inside your QuickBooks or your financial software, for me, that's going to make my big business stronger. Because at the end of the day, what's the reason all of us do this? Why do we all have businesses? Either we want to obviously make money, but at the end of the day, when it's time to retire, what are you going to do? you're going to most likely want to sell it. You want maybe a generational or family member or close friend or whoever. But if you want to sell your business, you want to show that you've been having revenue for the last X amount of years and that this is not a Mickey Mouse business. So like a lot of times when I see people trying to divert this and like, oh, just pay me cash. Like, you go to some restaurants and it's cash only. It's like, okay, it's cash only now, and in the state of Florida or wherever you are, they're not getting their 6%, 7%. But what is what is your long-term game plan? Because if you're a restaurant and eventually you want to sell your restaurant to somebody else and your recipes and everything, your processes and all that, you have to show income or else your business is worth zero, because cash in a sense can't prove that you did anything because nothing is documented with the IRS. So what do you think about that, Janelle? Am I short thinking on that, or it's just, I guess it just depends on where people are in their life or what?
You are right there, because I was just explaining to someone yesterday, no joke. Someone was like, "Hey, I've done some stuff," and I mean, they're becoming a legitimate business. Like, they have a okay amount of income, but there were certain Cash App transactions that they just reported. They didn't even report it in their business. I said, no, you need to report it in your business. And this goes for everyone out here, is that if you are wanting to buy a home or a house,
Yeah,
they need to see that income. So if you are, and I know everybody's at different points in their business, but if you're at a point in your business to where you pay zero in taxes, right? Because you're, whoever you got, your CPA, tax preparer, EA, tax professional, can get it down to zero and you have a zero net profit. Okay. I'm just saying, hopefully, it's all legit, but if they're able to do that, but when you go to buy a house, the mortgage company can't do nothing with that. So if you're making $10,000 in your net profit, they're going to be like, you're not making enough income. And especially if you're not paying yourself properly.
right.
So you want to make sure that those are some of the reasons why, that if you're looking to upgrade your home or buy a nice home, you want to show that type of income, in your business. But more so, if you're structured properly, you can save on taxes and still pay yourself a good amount of salary for that. So I will say, if you are doing any type of Cash Apps, make sure that you can put the EIN for your business so that it doesn't go to you personally, but it goes, it is credited to your business. And like what Andre was saying, for succession planning, you want to pass the company down. You're trying to get the most out of selling your business. You want to make sure that you have all your records and money in place. And I see another question. I think.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of so Ebony's saying the valuation of your business is based on your documented income. I would say that's the primary way, because Ebony,
Yes.
if you're wanting to sell your business, you've done it for 20 years, you've got your processes, you got your procedures, you have your client base, your clientele. But then if I want to make sure that you're not, just having all your friends be your customers, and now all of a sudden you're trying to pull a fast one on me. I want to see how much money are you making. And what they do is they sit your IRS papers. So anything else on that, Janelle?
Yeah. So tax returns, IRS, that's all important. I do see a question from Tanya.
Oh, here it is. Yep.
Oh yeah. Tanya is really awesome. I just want to throw that in there. Oh man. Yeah. Like Andre and Tanya, like they are like definitely amazing. So I love this. So it says, I have a nonprofit set up at PayPal and receive donations. We are tax exempt. Will that be okay? Yes. So if you made sure that in the PayPal setup that you put that you're a nonprofit, you put the EIN number and everything matches, then it should be totally fine. So she said, thanks. Love it. Yeah.
So if you guys have any other questions, as we mentioned before, Janelle is a CPA. She's not your CPA, so you still have to check with your CPA for any finalizations. But now's the time to ask questions as we start to wrap up. So let's see what other things we had on our things, if we missed anything.
Let's see.
All right. So all right. What can entrepreneurs do to change their money habits?
What can they do to change their money habits? Well, this is a formula that I've told people to use is number one. So I call it the triple A process. Is number one, you want to assess where you are. So that means actually get, especially if you're in business, you want to get a good set of records, right? So your profit and loss statement, right? Your balance sheet. And then balance sheet, what's good about that is that you're able to see what assets do I have as a company? Like, what am I actually bringing to the table as far as valuation? And then your liabilities. And I'm not talking about like the small liabilities that you have to pay monthly. I'm talking about if you have any big liabilities that's in the company name. And then also what your equity is, because that's really going to show what your equity is in your company. That's going to be definitely important. And then also your profit and loss, even on the profit and loss, will not give you an accurate account for your cash. And I'll tell you why. So to assess where you are. So the main things that I would check, just to break it down in a simple form, is how much are you bringing in, right? So put in how much you're bringing in, how much you are spending, and how much you are paying yourself. Whether if that's salary or whether if it's distributions or profits. And what is your profit? Those are going to be the key important things that you want to really see. That's the assessing part. Then you want to analyze. You want to see, okay, we have to break it down. Okay, what are some ways that we can actually bring more revenue within the company, right? Okay, here are my streams of income within my business. Okay, what was the lowest? What gave me the most headache, right? What fulfilled me the most, right? You want to go through and see, okay, this is an area or this is a particular um, revenue stream that I want to maximize. I want to maximize, like for my company, okay, I want to maximize on my CFO services. So that one, boom, okay. And then I may have other ones, but I would want to make sure and analyze my revenue and see which streams are going to give you the most amount. Secondly, I will go through your expenses. And again, how we discussed, you want to see, okay, what is actually providing you that ROI? And look at your team, look at your time. Are any of those expenses saving you on money or saving you on time or saving you on with dealing with your team, right? Is it making your company more efficient as far as your team? And then what I would do is, secondly, just look at what you're getting paid. Are you paying yourself a fair salary? Are you paying yourself a fair amount? And as you go through and analyze that, and then you want to assess, analyze, and then achieve. One thing that's going to be very important for you, especially in this quarter, like we just passed the first month of the first quarter. We're in the second month of the first quarter. And I will say this, that if you don't do nothing else, but I feel like the other stuff is important too, but to put your goals, like if anything, write down what you want your first quarter goals are. What are your first quarter goals as far as your income? Promise you, if you write it down, yep, there you go. Promise you if you write. And here's the thing, you don't even have to think about like the how necessarily. It'll come. Now it will come because you wrote it down, and then you can think of ways of how you're going to achieve that. But the very first step I would say is to write it down so that you can achieve what that bottom line is or what the top line is.
Yeah, so my little index card here shows, I have the quarters written down. What are my revenue goals? What was the actual? So it tells you the goal and the actual, and then the profit. And that's kind of what I have as my little cheat sheet here on my desk. And every month I update it, or every quarter I update it, just to kind of see where I am in the business. So I definitely like that idea there.
I like it. Yes, that is so good.
So, as we wrap up, Janelle, as I mentioned earlier, is I'm about a month late into this Miami Business Leaders. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of just leave everybody with a little nugget is about just especially now, right? Maybe you had, I don't want to call it a New Year's resolution, but maybe you said, you know what, for 2021, I wanted to do X, Y, Z in my business. And here we are. We are about 37 days into the new year already. Can you believe it? 37 days into the new year. And here we are. And maybe you didn't reach the goal yet. Maybe you didn't even start yet. And I wanted to kind of start the Miami Business Leaders with a bang. And hey, it's 34 days and this is our first video. So, don't let whatever you haven't done yet define where you're going to go in the future. And so whatever it is, today's Friday and you're watching this video and you're like, you know what, I wanted to have a new sale, or I wanted to, even do my own live, right? Whatever it is, just do it. Just do it. If you need accountability, like in this case, Janelle was my accountability partner because I wanted to do the video, but I was like, I know if I say I'm going to do it tomorrow, I'm not going to do it because something's going to come up. So what did I do? I called Janelle. Can we do a live together? Can we do it Friday? And it was supposed to be around 11 o'clock. And she was waiting. And that was my accountability partner. So a lot of, especially with entrepreneurs, you have nobody that is accountable. Nobody holds you accountable as an entrepreneur. You're holding a lot of other people accountable. They have to come to you because you've given them the marching orders and the tasks. But maybe you in your mind, or in your index card, you're writing all the goals that you want to do. But when you don't do it, nobody says you didn't do it. So have an accountability partner, even if it's one of your friends that has a business or whatever the case is. But just keep on going. Don't let it stop. So that, just want to give that last minute tidbit. And any last bits of advice for entrepreneurs you want to give, Janelle, as we wrap up?
Wow, man, that was so key. What Andre says is don't give up. You still have roughly just roughly 60 more days in this quarter, right? So it's okay for you to change now. It's okay for you to level up right now. Don't think that just because, it's January, it's February 4th. Oh no, I won't see my best year yet in business. No, you can see your best year yet. I've seen people that were, on a brink of only doing, $10,000, and then in May or June, and we're talking about in the middle of the year. And I'm not saying you need to wait till then, but sometimes it's not until the end of the year. I've seen people make in the last quarter of their year make the same amount that they did for the rest of the year. So I've seen someone who made like 2 million in like the last quarter, and they made like 2 million throughout like the whole rest of the year. So the thing is that it is not too late to change. So I just wanted to encourage you that whatever money goals that you have, whatever money habits that you need to change, I would say just go for it. Like, first of all, write those goals down, because that's what's really going to start working to help you achieve those goals that you've written down. So
awesome. And of course, we couldn't leave without doing a last minute plug. Just so you guys know, Janelle, I don't know if you guys know the story. I don't think I ever made it public, but I went through, maybe in ARC Solvers, we've probably been through about 4 or 5 companies. And the last, as far as CPAs and bookkeepers, and Janelle does our business, ARC Solvers Cybersecurity and Risk Management. She does my wife and I's personal taxes, business taxes, and then she also has the bookkeeping service that she does for us on the business as well. And prior to meeting Janelle, we had another company up north in Florida, and they butchered our books. I mean, talk about entrepreneur mistakes. They essentially didn't bill our customers for like 3 months. And me and my CEO, we're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Our cash flow is going low. We're already being able to pay our bills, soon not be able to pay myself, and what's going on. And when we started to look into it, we realized the accounting error that this company was doing, and the fact that they didn't even realize it when that's what they're supposed to be doing. One of their services is projections and things like that. So we have been extremely happy with Janelle. So just want to give that plug, and that's how I know Janelle, because she's been doing about 2 years now, I would say.
So, wow, it has been 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, so how can someone reach you? Although you are in Oklahoma, but your type of business, you're not in a regulated state where you can only work in certain states, right? You can work all over the U.S.
Exactly. I am able to work all over the US, and I do even some international things, but
Awesome.
a lot of my clients are East Coast or way West Coast. So it's great. It's
Yeah,
really awesome.
and that was one of the things also. When I just started the business, I wanted a local bookkeeper, but then when I realized, it was like, man, I don't have to have someone local, because look, we're doing Zoom and all of this stuff and Dropbox and OneDrive, and you can just share files, and QuickBooks is online now. So you definitely, although we want to support our Miami business leaders, but if you want to find someone that knows what they're doing, has a great team, I highly recommend Janelle. And Janelle, how can they reach you if you want to just spell out your name and email and website?
Yes, yes. So my website is postedcoachjanellecpa.com. That's has a list of my services. And then also, I would say that would be the best way to book a call with me. I do have my email, janellecpa@gmail.com. JanelleCPA at gmail.com. You can send me an email, and we'll make sure to schedule a time or to get back with you in regards to any questions that you have. And so also you can follow me on social media sites. I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. I plan on doing some more lives and giving out some tips for business owners as well too. So
Absolutely. And she actually has her own Facebook group as well. So we forgot to put that in the chat, but go ahead in the chat, Janelle, when we're done with the recording, you can just put that there and join her Facebook group where she continues to talk about different challenges that entrepreneurs may be having when it comes to money, giving tidbits and nuggets and things like that in her own platform as well.
yes, yes. Money habits for entrepreneurs.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Janelle. And I may ask you to hold me accountable in the next week or two, just so that I can get my flow going again. And, I know you, so easy to talk to you. So start thinking of another topic that will benefit the Miami business leaders. And we will I'm going to ask you to hold me accountable and do this again next week.
All right. Awesome. Thank y'all so much.
All right.
All right. Thanks.